Adit is also here. Yeah.
Okay,
Hi,
perfect.
Adit.
Yeah, hi.
All
Hi,
right.
Adit, how are
Cool, guys.
you?
Thank you so much for joining the call. The plan is to take you through all the details regarding your upcoming tracks. I've been in touch with most of you. My name is Umang. I've been coordinating the track. I also have Lavina with me. She's my colleague, and she will be with you on the track as the track leader. I also have my another colleague Adit also on the call. He will also be there as the track leader. All of us are like very experienced certified mountaineers and have been trekking to different parts of India, Nepal, and other places. So yeah, it will be our pleasure to host you all in Dharamshala very soon on 20th May. I won't take much time and hand it over to Lavina. She will take you through a very small presentation. Basically, we'll take you through the day-wise details of the trek, followed by discussion on what to pack, what kind of layers would be required, and then we'll open up the session for any kind of questions you might have regarding the trek. And we also have Samir on the call as well. So in case you have any questions, he'll also be happy to answer you. Yeah. Cool. So over to you, Lavina.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Umang. Thanks
Thanks,
so much for
Umang.
the
Thanks so much for
introduction,
the
and
introduction, and
so happy to
so happy
hear
to hear
and see all you
and see
guys.
all you guys.
Okay, great. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just quickly share my screen. I'll take you to through a small presentation, like Umang said. This is to give you an insight into what each day looks like. I'm sure you all know the itinerary which has been gone on the email, but this will just give you a little more details into it, and we'll discuss the most important thing for any high altitude trek, which is the layers that you carry, because those will be very crucial when you're up there in the mountain, considering the weather is going to be very different from what we experience in the cities. And then we will quickly open up the call to all of you guys, hear all your questions, know everything what you've been doing so far in terms of your health, fitness routines, and how excited you guys are about this adventure, especially the kids, if any of the kids are also on the call. So I would apologize in advance for the little monologue that I'll have for the next 5 to 7 minutes, and then I'll open up to you guys. Okay? Is that okay? Okay, I'll just quickly share my screen and just let me know if you are able to see my screen. Can you just give me a thumbs up so that I can know that you guys can see it? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so as you know, we're Adventure Pulse, and we've been, taking people to the mountains and doing a lot of crazy stuff for the last almost 16 years now. And this trek that you guys are going to be on is called the Baleni Glacier Trek. And, when we started off with this trek, it was really, really beautiful to see so many families coming along with their kids. I think the youngest person that we've taken on this trek was around 4.5 years old. So it is one of those treks which even we as adults have fallen in love with. And honestly, I think both Adit and I are really excited to go back to the mountains. So, getting into a slightly detail of the trek, as you all know that we're going to be starting this trek from a place called Dharamshala, which most of you guys are either going to fly into or you'll probably come to Delhi and drive down. The maximum altitude that you'll be experiencing on the trek is 2,900 meters of sorts. From a high altitude perspective, it's not a very high altitude as such, where, in most cases, you don't really get a lot of concerns of altitude related sickness when you're on a trek like this. But when it comes to being in the mountains, irrespective of what altitude you're at, the basic principles stay the same, which is hydration, good appetite, good sleep, good rest. So we'll follow all those things, even though we're not touching a very high altitude, so to say. We're going to be in the mountains for 4 days, which is basically the 4 trekking days that we have. And we're going to be spending 3 nights at our campsites. So we spend 2 nights, one night before the trek, one night after the trek in a hotel in Dharamshala. Then from day 2 onwards, we start our journey towards the mountains. So from an accommodation perspective, the first night and the last night, you're going to be in a hotel on twin sharing. And the 3 nights, you're going to be in the middle of the wilderness. We'll be setting up our beautiful campsites, which will have your sleeping tents, which will have dining tents where we'll have all our meals. And then, of course, there'll be a kitchen area where our staff will do all the cooking for you guys. And we'll have a separate place where we do our toilet camp set. So this is a little map overview of where the trek is. If you can just see the cursor that I'm moving around. So from Dharamshala, we basically drive towards this place which is called Sully. Sully is also the place which is the start point of the trek. So this is roughly around 2 hours of driving. From my personal experience, if anybody is motion sick, I definitely recommend you to, pop a pill before you get into the car. I'm also somebody who is a little sick, so that's one thing that I very dedicatedly follow whenever I'm, driving in the mountains. But that said, it's a very comfortable drive. It's not an off-roading drive as such. You'll be quite comfortable from that aspect. It's just that some part of the drive can be a little windy. So in case you feel like you're a little motion sick, just make sure that you pop a pill so that you're comfortable on the journey. So Sully is going to be the place where we start walking, so to say. And we're going to be going to the first place, which is called Chandrela Thar, which is going to be the first place where we're going to be camping of sorts. So this is where we will be setting up our tent. What usually happens is when we reach the start point of the trek, the bags that you are supposed to leave with the porter team. So what we usually do is you just carry a small day bag with you, which is, just your water, maybe a thin jacket, sunglasses, and all of that. And the remaining of your stuff goes with our team so that it can be taken by our horsemen. So at Sully, what we usually do is we make sure that we segregate the stuff that needs to go onto the mules, and you just carry a small day bag with you. So before you reach Chandrela Thar, which is going to be your first campsite, our team will reach before you. So the horses, of course, are much faster, and our team is a lot more experienced. So they usually reach a lot more faster so that they can set up the campsite. So by the time you reach your campsite, every single day you'll see your tents have been put up, the toilet has been put up, your dining tent is ready. And from Sully to Chandrela Dhar, we will go slowly because it's also the first day of your trek. So we don't want you to exhaust yourself, too soon. So we take it slow and steady. We take multiple water breaks in between, and then we continue our journey. And this is the routine that we follow every single day. We walk slowly, walk at a pace that you're comfortable at. We usually say, walk and talk. So if you're able to talk to your fellow trekkers, that means that you're comfortable and that pace is correct for you. If you're constantly panting and you're not able to speak to anybody, that means that you are over pushing yourself when you're in the mountains, and that doesn't help, because what happens is then you exhaust yourself in the very first hour, and then it becomes a little bit of an issue after you reach. So the idea is not to make it into a race. The idea is to go slow and steady, enjoy the views, enjoy the walk, take loads of pictures. I'm sure a lot of girls in the group would be very, very happy. I will be more than happy to be a photographer for you guys. So whoever wants the pictures can come to me. So the idea is to not just reach the campsite, the idea is to make a day out of it. And that's what we are going to be doing every day. So I've already covered this section, but I'll just quickly take you through it one more time. This is what Dharamshala looks like. You come in, we pick you guys up from the airport, and we spend the night. And we will be doing a team briefing in the evening so that we can let you know what you have to pack for the trek. We'll check your gear in case there's something missing so that, before going for the trek, we can help you out if there's something that you've not carried. When we drive to Sully, like I said, it's a 2.5 hour drive, and we trek up to Chandrela Thar. The timings over here are a little bit just for reference, just to give you an idea of what it can look like. To be very honest, in the mountains, we usually believe in doing a day-to-day briefing because depending on the weather, depending on how the situation changes, there can always be a half an hour, 1 hour difference in a schedule that has been pre-decided. So what we usually do is every single day during dinner time, we'll give you a full-fledged briefing about what the trek is going to be like, what the next day is going to be like, so that you're fresh in your head about what you're expecting the next morning. And the idea is not to bombard you with a lot of information because that can feel overwhelming. You may forget something. So every single day we do a briefing and we cover your wake up time, the time we have breakfast, the time we leave, and what the day looks like. And the next, we move on upwards to the Dhaled campsite. This is one of the most beautiful campsites of the trek. It's personally been a favorite for me as well. And this is one of those campsites where you can see mountains around you. You're very excited because the next day you're going to be hiking up to the glacier also. So this is a campsite definitely that's extremely picture worthy. And while you are going around the campsite, also there are smaller hills so you can go on short hikes around as well. Of course, we don't recommend you to go all alone by yourself because sometimes there may be a chance that you trip or something. So if you want to explore anything around, any of the smaller hikes around, please always reach out to either me, Adit, or our guides also who will be around, and we'll be more than happy to take you around the campsite as well. So the last day of the trekking day is when we hike up to the glacier. This day can feel a little longer, to be very honest, because what usually happens is we start off in the morning, we hike up to the glacier, we spend a good half an hour or so at the glacier because we want you to be able to experience it as well. And then we come back down to our Dhaler campsite. So what usually happens is, depending on what time we leave in the morning, you can feel a little bit tired because you've gone all the way up, you've spent time over there. We'll take a good snack break also over there, and then we come back all the way down to the campsite again. And of course, then we will have lunch at the glacier. We come back down, and that's also going to be the last, maybe the last bit of the mountains that you'll experience. So there's a lot of there's an emotion of not wanting to say goodbye to the mountains, but it's usually by then it's usually time. Sometimes you are a bit tired, but the idea also is that especially when you're at the glacier, of course it'll depend a little bit on the level of snow that is there. This season we've seen a little more snow than usual, not just in India, also in other countries like Nepal and all. Whenever you feel like you are getting exhausted, are getting tired, either because of the weather or because you've been hiking for the last 2 days, and by the time it's day 3 or day 4, if you feel tired, just slow down, just sit down, soak into the views, relax. And the best way to do it is, you can just walk up to me and say, hey, I want to take a few pictures. Because that's the easier way to say that, hey, can we just take a break? Because that's what I personally do. I don't want to go up to someone and say, yeah, I'm tired. I'm like, no, I'm taking some pictures. So I'm just going to sit here and relax for a bit and take some pictures. So whenever you feel that, just feel free to do that. The idea is that you come to us, talk to us, whatever you're feeling. Even if you feel it's the most stupid thing to say, it's fine. We are all ears, and the idea is to make this journey one of the most beautiful experiences that you will have in the mountains. So feel free to talk to us and we'll be there to help you. Moving on, this will be the last day of your trekking journey, which will be day 4. So on this day, we're going to be trekking from Dhaled, and we come all the way back to Salli village from where we had started. From Salli, by the time we reach, our vehicles will be there and they will take us back to our hotel in Dharamshala. So again, this day might feel a little longer, simply because you're coming all the way back to Salli, to the roadhead. And because you're coming down, sometimes what usually happens is the descent can feel a little bit exhausting. Maybe not for the children, but for the adults, it's usually the case because the descent sometimes does come on your knees a bit. But again, like we said, depending on the pace of the group, once we meet you guys, and we'll be able to judge on day 1, what the pace of the group is like. Accordingly, we'll take a call about what time to leave in the morning so that, you're not trekking in peak afternoon, because that sometimes does get a little hot. So we'll try our best to start at a time that makes you feel also comfortable, well rested, but also gets you back down before it starts getting too sunny. So this is the day when we'll be coming back to Surrey, and then we get back to the hotel. And once you're back to the hotel, you'll be very happy because you'll be able to take a hot shower again. And of course, we spend the night at the hotel, and next day is going to be the departure. So these are some pictures of the campsite from our, I think, previous batches. And here are some more pictures. If you can see on the upper side, there's a very beautiful stream over there. We usually do take a break over here, and for a good 20 to 30 minutes, you'll be able to soak your feet into ice cold water, of course, but it's really, really beautiful. The water is super clean, so it's one of the best places that you can take a break at, and you can just chill and relax and unwind yourself. The picture below you can see is these were actually pictures from a batch where the kids were, of course, trying to catch on to how many stars can they see in the sky, because unfortunately that's a rare sight in the cities nowadays. And of course, you can see some really cutie kids on the right-hand side. And these are also some of the children who had joined us for the trek in the last batch. So you can actually see how young and cute they are. These are again some views that you'll get on the trek. We'll be able to set up a bonfire for you also, where you can just chill, relax. If somebody has a guitar and can play very well, please feel free to bring that along as well. You'll be able to see some sheep on the way as well. They'll be grazing around somewhere. And yeah, in the last picture, if you can see, there's a really beautiful sunset, and there's a golden hour glow that you can see at one of the campsites, and it's really, really beautiful. So these are some of the views that you're going to be getting on the trek, and here are some more. Again, with the kids, we usually believe in trying to also keep them engaged, not just on the trek, but also playing some really fun games with them. Of course, it all depends on how tired everybody is. Even the adults are more than welcome to join them. But yes, once we're at the campsite and we've had our hot lunch, the idea is to not go to sleep immediately, no matter how much your body is craving for it. The idea is to make sure that you're awake, you're engaged, because otherwise, if you sleep during the day, then it'll be very difficult for you to get a good night's sleep. So we'll, make sure that the kids as well as the adults are engaged, and you're able to soak into the mountains as much as you can. Okay, last 5 minutes of your time, please. I'll just quickly cover this really important aspect, which is the layering. So as you can see on the screen, some of the most important layers that you'll need on this trek, starting with thermals, this is a no-brainer, because even though during the day the mountains are a lot more pleasant, once the sun sets, it does get really cold. And also because you're going to be in a camp setup, so you are going to be in a tent, and hence it becomes very important that you're covering yourself up well. So thermals, one t-shirt and one pant will be extremely important. For the trek per se, in most cases, you'll be trekking in a regular t-shirt and a track pant of sorts. You can either get cotton or dry fit. Any of those are fine depending on your comfort. And if you want to get full sleeves, you can get a full sleeves and a half sleeve combination. You can get really, really tanned in the mountains when the sun is out. So yes, full sleeves are really recommended so that you don't get burned. A fleece jacket is again a no-brainer, because while you're trekking, sometimes what happens is the sun is not out, even though it's not really cold, but it can get a little chilly. So ideally, a fleece jacket is something that you should carry with you in your small bag, which you'll be carrying, so that in case if the weather changes, you should have at least one layer handy so that you can carry it. A down jacket would be something that you would usually only use once you've reached the campsite and, when the sun is about to set. So usually what we always tell people is that when you finish the day's trek, you quickly go into your tents, first change all the clothes that you've worn for the trek. Make sure that you change your inners, your socks, t-shirts, everything, and you get into one fresh pair. So you have to have one fresh pair of t-shirt and pant for the night, which is dedicatedly used just for the campsite and for you to sleep in. So you change into that, and then you cover yourself up with a down jacket. So that will be important. a waterproof jacket, or it's also called a windbreaker. You can get either. That is going to be important for you because, like I said, sometimes, in the mountains, the weather can get really chilly. So if the fleece jacket is not helping you, a waterproof jacket or a windbreaker is important. The beanie definitely is a no-brainer because you need to make sure that your head and your ears are covered. So that's going to be important. You can see something called as a buff or a neck tube. I'm not sure if a lot of people have already used this, but this is going to be very important because it's important for you to cover your throat and your ears, especially when it's cold. It's very easy to catch, a cough in the mountains, a throat infection in the mountains, one of the most common things that we see within checkers. And you want to make sure that it doesn't escalate more. So the more you keep your neck area covered, the safer you are. You carry a fleece gloves and insulated gloves. Basically, fleece gloves definitely for the evenings at the campsite. That will be something that will come in handy. And you can carry, something, an extra definitely, which has a slightly more water bearing capacity because for the glacier day, especially if you want to play, make snowman or be able to play with the snow around, it'll be nice if you have a water resistant or a waterproof glove as well. And of course, woolen socks, again, no brainer. Get regular cotton socks also. For the day during the trek, you can usually wear cotton socks. But for the night when you're sleeping, it's ideal that you have a slightly thicker layer of socks because your feet can get really cold in the tent. So make sure that you have woolen socks. These are some of the accessories. I'm sure most of you are already aware of these. Water bottle, please make sure you have at least 2 bottles each, 1 liter capacity. Ideally, please carry, even if you're carrying a plastic bottle, make sure it's not a Bisleri bottle. You can carry a good quality plastic bottle, maybe a Tupperware bottle or something. And definitely carry 1 thermos if you can, because at the campsites, there will be hot water available for you guys for drinking. So what you usually do is you carry 1 thermos, which is probably a liter capacity or something. And for the night, in case you need more hot water, you can always keep 1 bottle in the tent so that you don't have to wake up again in the middle of the night looking for water, and you just keep that with you. A head torch or a regular torch, this is not an absolutely mandatory item, but we usually do keep it to be on the safe side. In case there's a necessity for you, you should have it handy. More importantly, this is something that you'll actually need only on the campsite because you're going in the middle of the wilderness, there is no electricity. So when you have to move around after sunset from your tent to the dining tent or to the toilet area, it'll be pitch dark. So you need to make sure that you have a torch with you. Of course, a lot of people use their mobile phones as well, but again, there's no electricity. So you want to make sure that you save the charging of your mobile devices also. So it's always better to have either a head torch or a regular torch. Your small day bag, which you'll be carrying roughly a 25-30 liter capacity bag, which will be more than enough because you're not going to be carrying a lot of stuff with you. Trekking poles, again, not mandatory, but we do recommend it because they come in handy, especially when you're descending. They do definitely come in handy because they do take up some of the pressure from your knees. So even if you don't want to carry 2 poles, if you're not used to using 2 poles, at least 1 trekking pole each person should have. We'll also request you to carry an empty lunchbox because, depending on the pace of the group, sometimes we may not reach a campsite before lunchtime and we don't want to have a really long gap between your breakfast and your lunch. So we can always pack something for you guys and we can have it on the way so that by the time you reach the campsite, you're not that hungry. And of course, when we reach the campsite, we'll have some snacks and tea for you as well. So the idea of carrying the lunchbox is also to avoid unnecessary plastic waste in the mountains, because again, that's not the idea. So if you have a lunchbox, a medium-sized lunchbox would be absolutely enough for the job. The next item is the duffel bag. This is going to be the bag that will go with our team, with the team that will be carrying it on the mules. And this is a bag that you'll be getting directly at the campsite when you reach. So this is the bag which will have all the extra clothes that you're carrying. Personal medication, in case there is anything that you've been taking, your doctor has recommended, just carry that. You don't need a lot of medicines because we'll personally be carrying a full-fledged medical kit with us. But in case there's something you particularly take, then we'd request you to get that. And of course, as you're aware, sunblock, sunglasses is a must-have. In case you need a knee guard, please do carry it, and personal toiletries for sure. Because again, you are in the middle of the wilderness, so your towels, your hand soaps, at least one roll of toilet paper as well. Because even though at the campsite we'll have toilet papers in the bathroom, in case you need to uh, go to the loo in between somewhere, it's ideal that you have at least one toilet paper with you. So this is all that we had. Uh, I am going to now open up the call for all of you. If you have any questions, please feel free and I'll be happy to answer them.
Hi, so I have one question on, transferring the items from our suitcases to the 60-liter duffel bag.
Okay.
So how does that work? I mean, we're carrying our suitcases, etc., and we leave them at the hotel. Then we carry everything to the first pit stop where it's all transferred, or how does it work? And we carry that 60-liter duffel bag as well.
So, ma'am, you usually don't really need to carry a suitcase all the way. What we usually recommend is, in case you want to leave some stuff behind at the hotel, that you can definitely leave it in the cloakroom. But when you're coming into Dharamshala, you can just pack a duffel also for yourself. So you can pack all your trekking items in a duffel bag. If you need a small, suitcase that you may want extra clothes after the trek, before the trek, some extra shoes or anything, you can just leave that in the cloakroom of the hotel. So the duffel is ideally something that you should carry with you to Dharamshala. If you want to just transfer everything to the duffel, you can do that, and the suitcase can be left behind in the hotel. So that won't be an issue at all. Okay. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, hi, I have a question. Hello? Hello?
We
Hi.
can hear
Yes,
you.
Hello? We
Yeah.
can
go
hear
on.
you. We can hear you. Yeah, I needed to ask that in the campsite, in the tents, there will be sleeping bags, right?
That's right, ma'am. That's right.
Okay. Now you're saying there's no electricity and we need to use our torch or that thing to go to the restroom. Suppose
Yeah.
somebody wants to use it like 2 or 3 in the morning. I mean, is it safe or what do we do? I mean,
Yes, ma'am. It's usually very safe. So there won't be an issue as far as safety is concerned. The only difference is that because it's pitch dark, they do sometimes also set up a bulb because we do carry it with us. But again, it's always safer for you to have an extra torch with you because even if the bulb is there, it's going to be on one corner near the toilet tent. But the entire journey that you take from your sleeping tent to the toilet tent, you'll have to be dependent on a torchlight. So just to make sure that you don't trip anywhere, you don't have a fall or something, it's always ideal that you have a torchlight just from the perspective that you want to save your phone battery. Otherwise, even the phone does the job. But if you have a torch, it just comes in handy. But safety in
there
terms
won't be
of
any wild animals, no,
no,
prowling
I was
around.
just coming to that. No, you don't have to worry about that. That definitely won't be a concern for you guys. In fact, on this trek, we've
Okay,
taken a
fine.
lot of school children also with us, so that's not something you need to worry about. And also, in case you are scared just because of a new environment, because of the dark, you can always wake one of us up, or you can just sing songs while you are going, so that everybody knows that you're going to the loo. So don't worry about that.
Okay. And my
Yeah.
daughter is very concerned about horses carrying her luggage. She wants
Okay.
to carry it herself. So is that okay? She's saying,
How old
I
is she?
don't want. She's 13.
13. Okay. Is this her first trek, or has she done treks in the
Yeah,
past? It's her first trek.
first.
Okay, so I'll be very honest with you. I really appreciate that she's, said this to you. But to be very frank, we don't really recommend it because, to be honest, um, when you're carrying your entire bag weight, it's at least going to be 5 kgs, 6 kgs, depending on, the stuff that you guys are carrying. What usually happens, it does hamper your overall pace on the trek, because there will be sections where you'll be climbing up, there'll be sections when you'll be climbing down, there'll be sections where, our team will help you cross a stream. So honestly, if she carries that much amount of weight, she will struggle, especially because it's her first trek. If she was a very experienced trekker, then of course, I would have said that, okay, that's not a problem. But as far as the horses are also concerned, there is no issue at all. In fact, the entire campsite is carried on horses, from your sleeping tents to the kitchen tent, the dining, the stools, the gas, your utensils, every single thing goes on the horses. So that is definitely not something that, she'll need to be worried about. And, on the trek, when she sees it herself also, she'll be, excuse me, on the trek also, when she sees it herself, she'll be very confident. So if she wants to again speak to me personally also about it, I'll be more than happy to get on a call with her if she's very concerned. But don't worry, honestly, we don't recommend that she carries all her bag weight on her shoulders. And
Okay.
if she wants to talk to someone, she can always reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to speak to her.
Okay, fine.
This is Dr. Reena here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so there's a small request from the kids' side that, as you explained very nicely, they got to know that all the tents will be already been, prepared before we
Yeah.
reach to the tent site.
Right.
So they were like excited, okay, we will be putting up a tent ourselves, we'll be pitching and all the
Yeah.
things. So is it possible to keep one tent,
Of course.
being not made,
100%.
and they do it one or two, so all the kids can do it together and they learn, understand how it is done?
Absolutely, ma'am. Definitely. In fact, we do that with a lot of our school kids also. Again, usually what happens is the excitement quotient with the adults is not as high, wanting to pitch their own tents. But with the kids, yeah, of course. We always we conduct a full-fledged session, teach them about tent pitching, what are the things that they need to consider before they select a campsite. So we'll be more than happy to teach them every single thing related to, whether
Thank
it's
you.
tent pitching. Yeah, for sure. That is definitely something
Thank
we
you.
look forward to doing. Guys, before we just drop off, just one quick thing. The meeting will end in the next 3 minutes, but if you just get dropped off, just join the same link again, and we'll resume the call in case there are any more questions left. The group on which the link has been sent, just join the same link, okay? In case we get drop off.
Lavina, I have a quick question
Yes,
about shoes.
Yes, ma'am.
Does everyone use sneakers, or do you need hiking shoes, boots?
Ma'am, usually, honestly, we don't recommend sneakers for the simple reason that they don't give you the best grip in the mountains. So on this trek
Yep.
particularly, there are a lot of smaller stones on which you'll be stepping. They're of course not big
Yep.
boulders or anything, but usually what happens is hiking shoes, because there are lugs under it, they give you a lot more grip. And the grip is it's just from the safety perspective, because the last thing you want is to have a fall on the trek. So to be very honest, if you have the scope of having a proper hiking boot or a proper trekking shoe, that will be the most recommended option. And I'm glad you brought this question up, because in case you guys are planning to buy a shoe for the trek, this would be the right time to do it, because you should break into it before the trek. It should
Yeah.
not be a new pair of shoe that you're inaugurating on the trek, because if you get blisters, it'll be a pain point. So
Yeah.
ideally, buy it now. Use it for your staircase climbing, for your walks in the evening, in the morning, and just make sure that you're comfortable in the shoe. And just make sure that, like let's say if my regular shoe size is 7, for the trek, I would prefer having a 7.5 or an 8, because especially when you're descending, you know, um, it's easier if you have a little scope around your toe area, because if the shoe is very snugly fit on your leg, what usually happens is your toe gets hurt a lot. So if you are a 7, just buy half a size bigger, ideally for a trek. So again, it's
Yeah.
not a mandate to have a trekking shoe in case you don't want to invest in it, but it's something that is usually recommended just to be on the safer side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Wow, guys, no questions. Did I explain it that well?
No, I think everybody is feeling a bit overwhelmed by everything. First time trekkers.
But honestly, it's one of the most beautiful treks, and it's ideally one of the best treks that you can do to introduce yourself to the mountains because it's not rugged, it's not harsh. It will surely make you all fall in love with the outdoors. So maybe next year after the trek, we start getting calls. Hey, I want to do Everest Base Camp. Can I come with you? So that's usually how it goes. So yeah, don't be nervous. Whatever questions you have, of course, we have a group. You can always ask us questions on the group as well. But in case there are any more questions, we have 1 minute to go. But yeah, if you get dropped off, please just rejoin the link again.
Questions.
I have a question about hotel booking.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I'm arriving a day earlier. I spoke with Umang regarding this.
Okay.
I'm arriving on 19th and
Okay.
actually planning to leave on 24th evening itself. So just
Okay.
wondering if my hotel bookings, I mean, instead of having it from 28th to 24th,
Hmm.
can it be made from 19th to I mean,
Understood.
I'm not going to stay in a hotel on 24th.
Understood. If
Yeah.
you could just let me know what time are you leaving on
Yeah.
the 24th after the trek?
Pushkar,
24th evening, I'm leaving. I can speak with